do you feel that this is part of like what's coming back? Working harder just based off of what you've seen so far in things like manufacturing and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, we do. I mean, we've seen a title shift. If you compare when we started, in 2017 to now, we have seen a shift. We've seen obviously great growth in the community, but we've seen a shift in many people's minds that we've lost our way. We've lost what's made us great, and that it's time to return back to it, because we didn't set out to start a clothing company or a clothing brand. What we did was we set out to create a community of people that believe in hard work, similar to what you were saying, right? A community of people that are rejecting comfort, rejecting entitlement, right? Rejecting the victim mentality and embracing hard work.
Here we go. Hey, folks, welcome to another episode of the Hard to Kill podcast. I'm sitting down today with Drew and Joey from Few Will Hunt. This is an awesome company that I got introduced to in LA at the Bedros Keuilian live event. And I started talking with Joey. I bought one of his shirts, this one right here, The Violence is a Virtue, which, by the way, is probably the most badass shirt that I wear when I go walk my kids to school. It's like got the skull on the back, it's really cool. I like kind of conveying that message, like, hey, dads, like step up your game, like, can you do an arm bar? Like I'm rocking the shirt,
Exactly.
And and more to that is their message is something that the Hard to Kill brand that I've been trying to promote for the last few years. It really kind of ties in with that really well in terms of the idea of hard work is kind of escaping us, and comfort is more of a virtue, is almost becoming a virtue now rather than actually hard work. And so I wanted to have both of you guys on to talk a little bit more about your company, talk a little bit more about your mission, and what you guys are doing in the future. So Drew, Joey, welcome to the podcast, man. And Joey, man, we'll start with you, man. What got you involved in the apparel business, and what brought you to, I guess, Bedros Keuilian Live a few months ago?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again, thank you for having the both of us on the show. So how did we get started in the apparel business? It's a funny question, because we didn't set out to start a clothing company or a clothing brand. What we did was we set out to create a community of people that believe in hard work, similar to what you were saying, right? A community of people that are rejecting comfort, rejecting entitlement, right? Rejecting the victim mentality and embracing hard work. And at a juncture in our lives around 2017, Drew and I felt like there weren't many of those people left. And we felt alone, in a society that was really trending towards values that were opposite of the ones that we held, So we decided to set out and create this community. It wasn't until late 2018, 2019 that Apparel came into the picture. And the only reason it did was because our community members were asking for some of our mantras, like our rules of the few, some of our mantras on clothing, because they wanted to wear it and represent it as a reminder in their daily lives. So that's how the clothing came about. But our roots are community, true community roots.
I'm going to share your website here. You touched on your rules here. So you've got 11 rules, and hopefully I can pull this up without any major technical glitches. Here we go. So first of all, your mission is badass. Restore the dignity of hard work. Since 2017, our community, The Few, has been the counter movement against comfort, entitlement, and victim mentality. We embrace hard work, pain, and risk to strengthen ourselves and strengthen our society. Man, that is badass. And your rules here, and maybe we can touch on a few of them, and I'll throw that over to Drew. How did you guys come to the point where like you had to kind of codify things? Were you working in corporate, like what brought about this movement where you realize, man, like nobody is doing anything hard anymore? Where was that moment where you decided like this had to happen?
So as the story goes, Joey and I are cousins through family, but we would call each other on the ride home from our day jobs every day. And realistically, he was a mentor for me and someone I looked up to at the time. And he was the only person that truly understood how I felt on a day-to-day basis. Like as a fellow hard worker, you know that like a lot of times we feel alone because like when you're at the schools events and the parties and the games, you really can't connect with people like you can through a network like this. So we would call each other every day, and for lack of a better word, complain that we felt alone and no one wanted to fucking work for anything anymore. And then one day Joey said to me, he's like, yeah, it's like we say at the cabin, everybody wants to eat, but few will hunt. And I was like, wait a sec, like, what did you just say? And he's like, he repeated himself, and I was like, dude, we got to get that on a shirt or something. And that's how we started our few will hunt, our first tee. But the rules of the few came a little bit further down the road a few years ago when we started to realize that our community needed a set of rules to live by. Like we had all of these mantras and powerful sayings, but there were a few key concepts that really define what it means to be one of the few.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And that original tee is behind you, right? In glass?
Yeah, that's the first ever.
Nice.
As you can see,
nice.
it's a lot less designed than the ones you see today. But
yeah, right on. And so
only a few of them in circulation. So,
Joey, you had something to say there?
Yeah, I was going to say one of 24. When we made those shirts, we made them really for ourselves and for like the 5 people that understood what we were trying to do. And we handed them out, and it was really just a way for us to break the ground, I guess, on the community. And then, like I said, many years after that, almost 2 years after that, that's when apparel really started to take off.
Mm-hmm. So you set up at the cabin. So I'm taking it that you guys are both hunters?
Joey is a hunter. I have my hunting license since I was 12 years or 13 years old. Whenever I just have never actually gone.
Yeah, I hold it down on the hunting side for us. I'm a bow hunter.
Okay, nice. So, it's interesting to see that a lot of your marketing and a lot of your apparel is in the jiu-jitsu space. So how did that come about? Are you guys both BJJ, practitioners? Is that something that just came about because the community around BJJ is very, I don't know if you want to call it, protection based and like struggle based? Where did that all fit into your brand?
Want to take that trip?
This is a really funny story. Yeah, really funny story. But Joey and I are both blue belts, and we're not practicing at the time in which we started Few Will Hunt. And while some people perceive Few Will Hunt as a jiu-jitsu brand, we actually set out with a much different demographic in mind. And then I met my very good friend Sean Brady, the UFC fighter, at a wedding a few years ago, and he was one of the people in our community that everyone would reach out to me and be like, "You have to talk to Sean. You have to talk to Sean. You guys are like same mindset. You're both doing big things. You guys got to connect." And I was like, "I'm not gonna hit this guy up and be like, hey man, like, can you wear our stuff?" You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't know me, like." So we run into each other at a mutual friend's wedding, and we just ended up like hitting it off, becoming really good friends. And we did his first fight in the UFC, and then one day, like he's like, "Yo, you ever like think about doing rash guards?" And I was like, "What's a rash guard?" And he explained it to me. And then Joey and I set out to find literally the best rash guard we could ever find, and that's something we always put first: our quality community, quality service, quality product. And we literally put the best rash guard on the market out, and people just literally kept buying it, and we didn't think we were going to sell any of them. And we turned into having a legitimate, the best, in my opinion, fight brand in the game.
Right on. Yeah, that's really cool, man. I mean, that was the first thing that kind of attracted me to your stand at Bedros Keuilian, because I mean, to say like I do jujitsu, like I do, like don't get me wrong, I show up. I'm a white belt and I just got started, and it just turned into one of those things that again, those community type things I really get attracted to. Hence, I spent 15 years in the military. There's that strong community bond that you build there. And then since I've been out, it's always hard to kind of find that community again. And that's where a lot of veterans kind of struggle, right? But since I've gotten into jiu-jitsu about a year ago, I'm starting to realize this is where, I can make the new friends here. And they're not all military, right? There's a few guys that are military, but I like that ability to connect with that struggle side of stuff. We're all going through something really hard. We're trying not to get strangled to death. There's just that element of danger. And at the end of the day, most of us are dads and we're just hanging out and we're not actually trying to kill each other. So, and then we go hang out and we watch, movies, or it just builds that little community. And a lot of our kids, they show up to jiu-jitsu too. And it's finally like coming and crystallizing together that, this is where I can find community in struggle. And I really like that. And the fact that you guys have that element in there, and it was kind of by accident, is always really funny, because I didn't set out to be a coach either. I really had no intentions of getting into podcasting or coaching or any of this. I was just trying to help out guys at my regiment not get injured. And then one thing led to another. And then before you know it, I have this like online coaching business, and I didn't know what I was doing. And so kind of the best things always start kind of from nothing. And then people realize, hey, you guys are doing good work. And then it blossoms into something. So like Joey, we met at that Bedros Keuilian, and Drew was saying you're linked up in the UFC world, which is cool. How did you get tied into one of the largest business influencers on the planet right now? Like that seems like holy shit! Like how did that happen? Like what's the story on that?
Yeah, funny story.
Yeah, another crazy story. I guess it was around the same time, 2019. Apparel was just starting to take off. Community was growing at a great clip. We were still working our full-time jobs. We had our hands full with all of the growth we were experiencing. So one thing that we weren't really great at, candidly, was like going through our orders and seeing like, okay, like who's ordering our apparel? Like, what people in the community are wearing our apparel? Well, it turns out Bedros was a customer of ours, and we had absolutely no fucking clue that he was, until he popped up later that year, no surprise, doing a keynote, and he was wearing our enemy tee, and he tagged us. And that started a little relationship there. We realized that he was a customer of ours, but greater than that, he really believed in what we were doing and what we were about. And we just had a casual relationship. We would hook him up with gear, probably for almost a year and a half. We never asked him for anything. We never said, hey, wear our stuff and tag us, or can you promote us? Or it was just, we came with a giving hand for probably like 18 months straight, maybe more. And then one Saturday, I was in my basement and I was working on a tee design for Shane Burgos, former UFC, now PFL fighter. And Bedros sent me a DM, and he said, hey, if there's any way in the future that I could be involved in a greater way with what you're doing, I would love that. He said, shoot me a text, and, on Monday or Tuesday, let's get on the phone and chat about it. So we hopped on the phone that week, and then, we had a great call. Fast forward 2 weeks later, Drew and I hop on a flight. We go out to his HQ in California on we're East Coasters. He's on the West Coast, obviously. Met him in person and his team, and we decided to partner. We decided to bring him in as a partner in Fuel Hunt. It was probably the best decision that we've ever made. Not only because he is an absolute Goliath in the business space and the entrepreneur space, but he's also like the best human walking the face of the earth. So he's given us so much over the short time that we've been friends. He's mentored us. He's been an amazing friend to us. And he's been obviously a catalyst, a huge catalyst in the growth of the community too. I mean, he's the reason we're here with you doing this right now.
100%. I mean, the interesting thing for me, the like on ramp to actually learning who Bedros was to doing this now is literally a few months. I had never heard of Bedros up until I think it was May, June of this year. It was a buddy of mine, fellow coach. It's like, dude, you got to check out this MDK project. He's like, you were military? I was like, yeah. So he shows it to me. I'm like, oh, that looks cool. And then one thing led to another. He's like, yeah, he's got a podcast. I was like, cool. I started listening to him. And then he started mentioning Fuel Hunt. And I didn't see it spelled out. So I thought it was FUELHUNT. I'm like, that's interesting. I'm like, I don't really get what that is, but I get it's an apparel brand. So I heard of you guys before. And then I saw your stand. I'm like, oh, Few Will Hunt. Now I get it. I'm an infantry guy. I'm kind of dumb. So I figured that out. But and then he made the offer on his podcast. Hey, you know what? Instead of like sitting at home and doing Zoom calls and working in your silo, why don't you come out and actually hang out with a bunch of really like hard charging entrepreneurs? I said, you know what? He's right. So got on a flight, and it was an awesome experience. Got to meet a whole bunch of cool people, yourselves included. Got to shake Bedros' hand and a few other, Jason Redmond, like all these guys that I don't have the ability to kind of connect with here anyways. So you got to kind of go where the action is. And that was exactly what I was looking for. And just goes to show, right? Once you put yourself out there, the odds of you making connections and being able to grow just increase exponentially. So, I'm curious, Drew, maybe I could throw this to you. Where do you see this movement or this, Fuel Hunt idea growing into in the future, or what do you hope that it grows into the future?
So Joey and I are fully aligned on 1 million hard workers worldwide in the next few years and building the next great American company. So competing with a lot of those big conglomerate apparel brands and brands out there, and creating a community and a brand that you're proud to wear on your back. You know what I mean? Because when you're exchanging your dollars, you're supporting the values that the company stands for. And we believe that Fuel Hunt will be the next great American company.
Right on. And is it safe to say everything is made in America?
Yeah, we don't even consider anything that's not made in America anymore.
I love it, man.
That was Joey's big push for us, and I was a little bit hesitant just because it's a big investment and a big risk on profit margins, and it's a big business risk. And I would have to say I painted my house red, white, and blue. So we are fully committed to American.
Yeah, right on. Right on. I love it. And as a Canadian looking towards America, I definitely noticed that trend of made in the USA, which I grew up with in the 80s, right? That was something that was pretty common, but then the manufacturing base kind of left, and now it seems like there's a return. And I think COVID really kind of pushed that a lot more, that, hey, there's a lot of stuff that we're not making here and we just don't have the capacity anymore. And I learned about it initially from Jocko's brand, where like he was talking about like setting like up a loom and setting up just an ability to actually make clothes, like almost been like completely lost. And so like for you guys, is that a struggle of yours, just to be able to actually manufacture the goods in the States, and now like you kind of have to build that out as part of your business as well? What has that been looking like?
Yeah, it was challenging at first because finding cut and sew manufacturers that are sourcing and cutting and sewing all in the United States and printing in the United States was hard to find. We're not currently in the warehouse where Joey is. We're not currently manufacturing in our warehouse. So we have partnered with cut and sew manufacturers in the States that are doing the work for us. But it was literally hours and days, months, just combing through the internet, using our resources, our connections to find actual manufacturers in our country that are fully committed to sourcing and printing and cutting and sewing in the United States. But it was well worth it at this point, because if you have any of our gear or any of our newer gear, you can see the quality is just, if you thought our quality was good before, you haven't even felt the new stuff.
That's awesome. I just from this shirt alone, like I can attest, like I've already thrown this through the wash like 4 times. I wear it at the gym. I wear it to, like I said, bring my kids to school because I like looking badass with a skull on my back. But what I like is that, it's the type of cotton that doesn't end up stretching out to like get all floppy in the arms. I can't stand that. I can't stand the floppy arm stuff. So good on you guys for making sure the quality is nice and high. And to that point where, hey, making stuff, in the States, there's obviously there's an aspect of, keeping stuff at home, but it also speaks to your idea of like doing hard stuff, because getting people to work in these factories, like that's hard work, right? And it's not like an office job where you're like banging out emails and like doing reports. Somebody physically has to be there on their feet making stuff. So like, do you feel that this is part of like what's coming back? Do you see kind of a return to just working harder just based off of what you've seen so far in things like manufacturing and stuff like that? And Joey, if you could like, give us some insight into that, that'd be cool too.
Yeah, I mean, we do. I mean, we've seen a title shift. If you compare when we started, in 2017 to now, we have seen a shift. We've seen obviously great growth in the community, but we've seen a shift in many people's minds that we've lost our way, right? We've lost what's made us great, and that it's time to return back to it. And over the years, recent years, there have been some events that have put an exclamation point on that, right? But we're definitely seeing it. And put it this way, it's our mission. So like, we're hell-bent on making sure it happens, restoring the dignity of hard work, restoring hard work to the rank and respect it deserves that it once had in America, So the Few's going to make sure it happens regardless. But you are right. You hit on the fact that, like, who would we be as leaders of this community? Who would we be if we did not embrace the hard work and the risk in cutting over to, 100% made in the USA? What type of example would we be setting for the community if we didn't do that? So, with everything Drew said about sourcing, like, that's all accurate. It continues to be hard work because, the U.S. doesn't use forced labor, right? Or illegal labor, right? So, these other brands that are out there can turn around shit in like 2 weeks because it's forced labor overseas. Well, we don't do that here. So the timelines are longer, the minimums are higher, but we know that we're doing the right thing. And, the rules of the Few are one way that we're going to restore the dignity of hard work. But even greater than that, our move to manufacturing in the USA, I think, is going to be a big driver of it as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it speaks to, at the end of the day, especially if you've got, I know I can speak to this. I haven't been in the military, right? At the end of a long, hard day, there's a sense of accomplishment, and that the idea of kind of not being satisfied wasn't a concept that I was familiar with, because at the end of the day, I was tired, I worked hard, and that was it. And that gave me a sense of not only belonging, but I just felt like I was accomplished. But fast forward and go to when I was working in an office for a little bit, I didn't have that feeling. And so I had to go into the gym. I had to go do something that was difficult, because it was kind of like getting rid of the inner bitch, right? Like that feeling of, well, I didn't do anything with my day. There was nothing. I had nothing to show. Like, emails is not, you don't see that at the end of the day. I didn't make anything. So, that concept of having a hard job that requires hard work, that is purposeful, and that you can actually see the fruits of your labor at the end of the day. Like, I can't think of a more rewarding thing to do. And I think we've lost that, but it seems like you guys are dialing into that and trying to bring that back as much as possible. So I want to touch on just one of the rules here, just to switch gears. Your rule number 4, I think this is my favorite one. And Joey, if you could kind of extrapolate on this a little bit more. It's prefer pain. Comfort is a slow death. Your pain is the raw material of your power. Could you get into that a little bit more? Like, what are you trying to get at with this rule?
Sure. I mean, you hit the nail on the head, right? Like, when you were physically exhausting yourself, working in a unit, working with your hands, protecting yourselves and others, that pain that you went through yielded purpose, right? You said you felt accomplished, but above and beyond that, I feel like you felt a sense of purpose. And nowadays, there is so little pain, let's be honest, Most people go through their day high on dopamine all day, right? They're not introducing any type of adversity in their life, right? They're surfing the internet, right? They're screen sucking, they're seated at their desk all day at their job, mailing it in. It's the culture has changed. There's no pain in the day. And without that pain, you can't feel your purpose. You can't feel your power. How do you know what you're truly capable of if there's no adversity, if there's no pain, So for me, prefer pain is a bold statement, a strong statement. For me, it's not really about battering yourself. Trust me, just as much as the next guy, man. I love like a killer session, jiu-jitsu session on the mats, or a killer workout that's painful. But it's not really about battering yourself. It's about bettering yourself. And pain is a key component to breaking through to who you're meant to be. And it is in short supply today in society. So that's the genesis of the rule. And obviously, if we had to pick one of the societal ills, right, to attach to that rule, it would definitely be comfort. The comfort of the couch, the comfort of, your paycheck, the comfort of not having the difficult conversations that you need to have. That comfort is what we're trying to kill.
I love it. I love it. It brings up a quote that I got from one of my buddies I had in the podcast. It's, pick your hard, because ultimately, if you strive for a comfortable life, pain will eventually find you, but it won't be on your terms. It'll be on the universe's terms. And that's usually the worst type of pain to have thrust upon you, because you're not in control. And that really sunk in, because you can just kind of coast, but what are you going to end up with at the end, right? Maybe it's not now, maybe it's not 5 years from now, but maybe it's 10 years from now. And that pain will be insurmountable compared to the one if you're in control of it and you are just constantly grinding away and accepting it and actually taking it in and turning it into your superpower. I totally agree with you on that. It's just, you don't get away from pain. And I think that's the kind of the biggest message here. And that's why I like that rule. You got to pick your hard, man. And I choose to do the hard shit, like going to the gym, it sucks. Going to jiu-jitsu, it sucks. Doing a MDK project in March, I know is going to suck. But if I don't do those things, I know I'm just going to be at the whim of the universe. And I don't want that. And I don't want my kids to see that either. I want them to see, oh, dad, like, what the hell? Like, why is he doing these things? To make sure they understand, like, I'm going out there and I'm giving her every chance I get, because I want to just show them, you gotta get in there. You gotta get those hard things accomplished. So that's why I really like that message, Joey. And I think, that's one of those long lasting philosophies that I think need to be established at a more, fundamental level, especially with our kids. So, Drew, where, so I already asked kind of like what, the company is up to, and like, what you plan on doing, but like, how do you see like the next few years turning out? And like, what are you doing specifically, like, to embrace the suck? Like, do you have stuff coming up that is going to be super hard? Do you have some business objectives that are really audacious? What's that look like for you?
For us personally, me personally, building out our American made line and our American made apparel is first priority. So we got to work on new products, right, that we're looking to unveil to the community that we got under wraps right now. First few episodes of the Fuel Hunt podcast is going down next week.
Oh, nice.
So we got
cool.
Yeah, we got that coming down for the community. And then tomorrow we have our first ever in-person event for members of the Few to come grapple. I mean, Dave, I don't know if you're coming out, dude, but you gotta hop on a flight, because we have our Few Hunt grappling seminar with Mickey Rod and Sean Brady showing us some things.
Okay.
About 100 members of the Few Hunt community will be there, and then we'll follow by a Few Hunt social at the end of the day. So it should be amazing. But in the next year or so, we're looking to do. Next year, we're looking to do like a little bit more of like a camp type experience like a few month grappling camp for a couple of days where you come stay and do jiu-jitsu and some hard shit for a couple of days. But
That's awesome.
I would say those
That's
three
awesome.
things are probably our top priority right now.
Yeah, right on. And you guys are in Pennsylvania. Did I get that right?
Yep. Philadelphia,
Okay.
Pennsylvania.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, my American geography didn't fail me on that one. It's like, pretty sure I got this one. Okay, that's awesome. And obviously those are, anytime you throw an event, right? Events, they're nerve-wracking because at the end of the day, it's like, okay, I'm pretty sure people will show up, and then you're like, is anybody going to show up? And you got to put yourself out there, and you got to get everything organized. And but it sounds like you got a good crew, and you got a really good tribe of followers, which is really cool to hear. So, Joey, I throw it over to you. Like, what are you doing? Like, that's kind of putting you outside your comfort zone, either business-wise and personally.
Yeah, so everything Drew mentioned, and then Drew mentioned earlier too, I believe that, we have a big 10-year vision of serving 1 million hard workers worldwide. So, he mentioned some specific things. If you zoom out all the way on that, right? What that means, like serving 1 million hard workers worldwide by our 10th year as a community and a business. If you zoom out on that, that means day by day, literally searching our souls for the best ways to add value to our community so that they can do things like prefer pain, right? And realize their power. So on a day-to-day basis, there is no coasting. There is no resting on the laurels. We take our service to the community and its members very, very, very seriously, to the tune of sacrificing pretty much everything else in our lives. Like Drew and I joke, we do 3 things: family, fuel hunt, and jiu-jitsu, and that's pretty much it. Because we're so locked in on that. So when you talk about, we truly enjoy the work, but it is a challenge. I mean, it's a challenge. But when you zoom out on it, that's what it looks like. And then, me personally, I think you said personally, what am I doing to embrace the suck?
Yeah.
Yeah. So jiu-jitsu, jiu-jitsu for sure. For
That's
sure.
the reason.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
One thing I forgot to mention is we have our Q1 Open that we partner with Finishers Sub Only, if you ever heard of them. But we're going to hold an open jiu-jitsu tournament here in PA if you want to swing through for that. But I mean, Joey might have to get on the map for that one, dude.
Holy shit! You got to give me some dates here. What we got to write some stuff down here. Okay, well, so when's that coming up?
This date's unreleased, but it's January 13th. You heard it here first on your podcast.
So this is some alpha that's coming out straight from the Hard to Kill podcast. All right, cool.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. Okay, and when was the more recent one coming up with Sean Grady and stuff like that? When's that coming?
That's tomorrow.
Oh, that's literally tomorrow. Okay, folks. Sorry, you won't get this episode in your ear holes in time for that one. Okay, so that's tomorrow. Gotcha. But definitely keep me appraised of any events that are coming up, because I'd love to share them with the community, as often as possible, because it's kind of the point of, why I do this is, get people active, get people engaged, especially in the veteran community, especially because so many of us are active in the jiu-jitsu community. Anytime there's something that's coming up that can bring us together, like face to face, I'm all in. So January 13th, that's right, in Philadelphia. Okay, cool. So when this goes up officially and gets published, that'll have plenty of time for folks to get on board and find you guys and get registered. So Drew, Joey, this has been great. Before we sign off, Drew, do you have any last parting thoughts to share with the Hard to Kill community?
I'll leave it with my favorite quote, because I just got asked this today. How you do anything is how you do everything.
Ooh, nice. I've heard Bedros say that.
Yeah, I don't know if I heard it. My favorite Bedros quote is "Revenue feeds the ego, but profit feeds the family." But
oh shit,
he very well. That is a Bedros OG that hit me hard one day.
That's a good one, man. You guys are so full of wisdom. And when I say you guys, I mean like Americans and you guys in this Bedros community. I could just I just feel like getting tattoos of like all these things all over my body, just like litter my forearms with it. Like I got to remember that one. Oh, that one's really good too. I don't know. Canadians aren't like we don't do slogans. We don't do sayings. Like these are powerful, man.
Yeah,
Joey,
You guys got Jersey Drake, dude. So
Yeah,
you got
well,
something.
okay, yeah, oh, all right, yeah, that's true, that's true. We also got Shania Twain too for you country folks out there. So whatever floats your boat. That probably dates me a little bit. Like anybody that's in like under 30, like Shania Twain, who the hell is that? Joey, can you top that one? Any final thoughts? I hope I don't put you on the spot here, but
No, not at all. Well, we covered Prefer Pain, and that is one of my very favorites. Um, if I had to give you another one, I'll lean into another rule of the few, and it's a big reason why we are where we are today with the community and the company and Bedros, and that is to get, give. So whatever you want to get in life starts with giving first, and not only just giving of yourself to others, but just generally giving of yourself on a daily basis, demanding a lot of yourself so that you can recognize what you're truly capable of.
Yeah, that's a great point. And to go back to what you said earlier about, just giving apparel and Bedros was clearly wearing your stuff, but with no ask in return, just goes to show it's that whole idea of like jab, 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 jab until the counterpunch comes, but you don't really have to do anything until somebody says, you know what, thanks so much. What can I do in return? And whether it's physical, goods or whether it's just like your time and effort, I wholeheartedly believe in that and providing reciprocity, like for the long game, right? And just building up that capital and just helping people out as much as possible, and inevitably it comes back to you in spades because the universe favors those that are generous. So I love that message, Joey. Absolutely. So guys, it's been a great chat. I'm glad to have connected with you guys, with Joey in LA, and Drew. It's been great to meet you too and get a bit more insight into your company and the mission that you're up to, because I love it, and continued success in the future. Pretty sure we'll have another touch point at some point in the future as well. If it's not through jiu-jitsu, it's going to be through apparel or whatever it may be. Good luck with the podcast too. It's a real hoot. So if you want to, drop me any questions on podcasting, man. As little as I know, I'll help you guys. No questions asked. But thanks again so much for sitting here and spending a little bit of time chatting with me and the folks from the Hard to Kill community on the podcast. And don't forget, folks, train hard, fight easy. See you on the next one. Peace. I hate t-shirts that get floppy in the arms after 10 washes. So that's why I created a bunch of t-shirts with high quality cotton just for you, so that you can go to the gym and look fresh, sport some philosophy, and smash those PRs looking good. So you need to head to davemorrow.net/merch, grab yourself a hat, grab yourself a t-shirt, grab yourself a sweater, and support the cause today.